So our goose has been drying in the refrigerator for about a day. The skin is fairly dry. It still feels a little moist, and you could actually leave this to dry for 2, 3, 4, or even more days. Remember, in the old days, they used to hang poultry in like the old barn to get tender, but it would get sort of gamey, and if you leave it drying in your refrigerator for too long, it'll take on sort of a gamey flavor. But right now, smells completely neutral. It doesn't really have any smell at all. Remember, we poured that solution with boiling water and soy sauce and honey over the goose. It doesn't look like it's colored the skin now, but that small amount of honey in what we poured over it will help the skin brown up. While this is roasting, I'm going to boil down that water down to, I don't know, a cup or two, and I'm going to hold it on the side to baste it if I need to, if the goose hasn't gotten brown enough. Now I'm going to use my handy Showtime Rotisserie Pro here to do this. I've done ducks in there before, and it works pretty well. The rotisserie keeps it basting as it goes, and I sort of like that. You could certainly do this in a regular oven on a rack. Put it breast up and turn it every 30 minutes, and this way the fat will continue to baste it. So you could certainly use a regular oven for this. You could do it vertically the way I have it here if you have an oven that's tall enough. This is a little bit big to fit in my oven, but I'm sure it would come out great if I could fit it in there. Or do it in a smoker or a grill. The recipes I've found for geese have you cook them from anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half to 10 hours. The ones that go for a really, really long time, they're looking for sort of a soft, shredded beef texture. And that's fine, but what I'm looking for is more like a Peking duck or a Cantonese roast duck, except it's a goose in this case, with really crispy skin and very, very juicy and tender meat. Remember, geese and ducks are not processed the same way turkeys and chickens are, so you can absolutely eat them rare, like rare roast beef, and they're fantastic. There's no safety issue at all. I wouldn't do that with a chicken or a turkey because they're processed and washed in these giant tanks, and geese and ducks are a little different. So I'm going to thread this onto the skewers now, if I can, without destroying my goose too much. And as you can see, let me bring it back, I haven't poked holes in the skin the way most people tell you to, except for this one right here, because I'm an idiot and I accidentally poked the chopstick through there as I was separating the skin from the meat. So we're going to tuck his little legs down a little bit, and I'm going to see if I can get the skewer to go through those legs. I may or may not be able to. So let's try to find the midpoint on Mr. Goose and push the skewers through. What you don't want to do is punch these skewers through your hand. Okay, so now he's on. The skewer is just fine. All right, center him up. I think he's going to be good to go. Put him on, turn him on and see if he turns. Yes. Now I'm just going to check to make sure that tail isn't hitting the heating elements as you go by. Okay, it's not even close. Sometimes if you have a turkey or another bird that's really wide, it'll hit the elements, and you don't want that to happen. So all right, so I've got him on there. He's fairly secure. It looks like he's going to turn fairly well. I'm going to set the timer here for about, let's say an hour and a half, well, a little under 2 hours. That would be about between 10 and 15 minutes a pound for a goose of this size. I'm going to check him periodically, especially carefully after about an hour and a half, and see how brown the skin is. If the skin needs more browning, I'll put that sauce on. If not, we'll just let him be, and we'll check him and see how he looks after about an hour and a half. Well, it's been about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, and as you can see, the goose is a gorgeous color, and even though I have that sauce reduced down, the water with the honey and soy sauce that we used to glaze it in the beginning, I didn't need to put any of it on. You can see it's got a fantastic color right all by itself. So it's really fantastic, and I think it's ready to take out. So we're going to do that now. It's screeching hot, so I'm going to try to rest it on a plate and lift it off. Here we go. And wow, what a color. Skin is absolutely lacquered hard. This area didn't get quite as brown because it wasn't as close to the heating element, but I don't know if you can hear that, but it's sure sounds like it's very, very crispy. Let's get it off the rotisserie. First thing we should probably do is take the wings off. And again, you'll carve this pretty much the way you would a turkey or any other bird. I'm going to use a shorter carving knife. Now this is screeching hot. So, oh, I don't know if you can hear this, but it's just crackling. Oh, hot as hell. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that a duck doesn't have the huge breast that a turkey or a chicken would, a duck or a goose. So when we're going to take off the breasts, it's going to be a fairly thin layer of meat, but it's going to be fantastic. The other thing is when you're carving this, ducks and geese, the thigh bones are way back up on the back. They're much different than chickens and turkeys. So it's going to be a little bit of an effort to get the leg and thigh piece off, but we'll manage. Oh, do you hear how crispy that is? Cut all the way up into the backbone if you can. Look at that juice coming out. Really fantastic. It's fully cooked. It's not like it's raw at all, but it's extremely juicy. Very crisp skin. I have to try some of this. I cannot resist. Oh. Well, it sure looks great. I'll try it with the skin. Oh God, it's hot. Wow. I gotta say, that's as good or better than the best duck I've ever had. Thin and crackly like the best Peking duck. That's unbelievable. Now, most of the fat has drained off and it's in here. We're going to save all that fat. I would implore you to do the same. Let's take off the breast. Straight down alongside the breastbone. Let's get underneath it. Peel that breast off. Carve it right off in one piece. There we go. So you can see this is a fairly thin piece of meat, but let's give it I need a sharper knife. Oh, look at that. That's really spectacular looking. It's juicy. It's like roast beef. The skin is extremely thin and crispy, probably because we separated it from the meat. Chinese or Cantonese style roast goose. Fabulous goose.